we go. Welcome to the show. Great to be with you. Thanks for tuning in. Which way do you want me to go? This way? Okay. There we go. Hope you're having a good day wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show, and whatever you may be doing. Having fun yet? Man, oh man.
Got a good guest for today.
I know. Dietitian. An RD, registered dietitian. I have fun with them. I drive them crazy. She's not too bad because she's more, she's not a traditional dietitian. They tend to be a bit more conservative in their approach, not politically, but
they're stuffy.
In their in their approach to nutrition. Although they seem to be loosening up a bit. And they're in this constant war between the nutritionists and the dietitians. I'm not a dietitian. So, and there's this, it's silly. And they say bad things about one another. And I don't know why they do that. Nutritionists say, well, yeah, the registered dietitians, they're very good at making Jell-O.
When I got sick as a kid,
and that's one of the milder things that they say.
When I got sick as a kid, it's funny that my mom used to make me drink warm Jell-O. So every time you say that, I just laugh. I think of that.
Yeah, they're good at making Jell-O for the kids at recess at school. Oh my goodness, it's terrible. But Gina is pretty open-minded, so we like that. And I hope you are as well, because we explore a lot of things around here. We root around. I'm always looking to see what's trending, what's on the cutting edge, what needs to be cut off. what do we not want to pay attention to? Because there's some crazy stuff out there.
Man, diet fads are huge this year.
I can't every year. It's getting as the obesity epidemic wanes on and continues, no pun intended, grow. More of these crazy diets keep popping up. I can't mention any names, but somebody we know went on this. Can you see if you can find out about the diet?
28-day water fast is what it's called.
See if you can find some details. And well, my response to that is, how about if you go on an oxygen diet? How about that? Just breathe. You'll lose weight, I guarantee it. You're on a water fast diet? Of course you're going to. Well, let me find out what the details are before I deconstruct it. We invite you to join. And this one person that we know went on this diet, and I'm looking at a before and after, and I'm not so sure the after is better than the before. Is a smaller person, no doubt.
I sent it to you.
Okay, the diet.
Yes.
Are there details in it?
Yes.
Can you chat about it?
Yeah.
Pull it up. Tell me.
Okay. Water fasting offers the quickest detox and strongest therapeutic effect. Okay. This is all, I'll say this is opinion at this point. A true water fast maintains a 0 caloric intake. This means water only, nothing added to it. Some call water fasting the only true fast and believe that any food allowed into the bodily system prevents the complete resting state desired, compromising the level of cleansing and detox attained.
How many days do they do this?
27 days.
And during that 27-day period, do they eat anything?
Nothing.
Well, that's about as stupid as that guy. Are you serious?
Well, because I'm serious. After 2 to 3 days, the body goes into the ketosis.
Of course. It's
okay.
And then starvation mode. How about that?
Where it begins to fuel itself internally. Well, we know that if you fuel itself internally, that's a euphemism for it. Your body becomes catabolic and it begins to eat itself. Go ahead. Ketosis occurs around 48 hours for women and 72 hours for men.
Yeah.
So
Now, does that when your body does that, does that go after the adipose tissue, that bad fat, or is it just the other fat?
There's a hierarchy. Okay, so the first thing it's going to do, it's going to find the easy stuff first. It's going to look for glucose. It'll burn and glycogen. Glycogen is stored in the muscle and in your liver, wherever. It'll burn the glycogen because the body wants to do what? Make ATP, adenosine triphosphate. No ATP, what happens? You die. Okay, so it looks for creatine. It'll burn the creatine. It'll burn the glycogen. It'll burn the glucose. All right, now where does it have to go to find energy? It's going to look for the fat. It begins to burn fat. Once it burns up all the fat, then it says it to itself, if you will, all right, now what am I going to do? Now it starts to do the amino acids, the muscle tissue. You are now in starvation mode, and the body, it's been feeding off itself. You haven't fed it. So it's catabolic. It's not anabolic right now. It's catabolic because it's breaking everything down. And it's literally eating itself to stay alive. And so for 28 days, you're doing, are you sure about that? They don't eat one morsel.
Nothing.
Nothing. And here's what happens. During that period of 28 days, I don't know exactly what day this happens, but you will have no appetite. And people say, I'm not even hungry. Well, that's the body's way of having you not, that's biology. It's a biological effect of starvation because it doesn't want you to be in this modality of pain and suffering. It's trying to keep you enthusiastic and motivated to go do what? Eat.
Right. And it's funny because you bringing that up, one of the last paragraphs, and you have to get to the last page in the article, weight comes off quickly at first, mostly water weight, then weight loss tapers off.
No kidding. Go ahead.
After the fast, you will put water weight back on just as quickly.
All right, so here's the other principle. Whatever the person's weight was when he or she started this water fast diet, biologically, the body wants to go back to that weight. Let's say they started off at 225, 250. This one picture, one image that we're looking at of somebody we know, it looks like he lost about what? How much?
50 pounds.
He lost 50 pounds. I guarantee you, I promise, bet the bank, bet everything you know and have, that weight will come back.
Well, because he's not learning to eat.
With a vengeance. And not only will it come back, it wants to gain even more weight, so it's going to go back to the set point. It looks like his set point, he looked to be about what?
255, 260?
All right. I was going to say 250.
Depending on what convenience store he's leaving.
Okay. Yeah, walking out with looks like a paint bucket filled with cola. He's going to go back to that weight and then gain more because the body was in starvation mode. And the biology says, the principles of biology, well, apparently there was a famine. You were in starvation mode. We're going to get you back to where you belong, 250.
Is that why Dr. Lyon says your body will always think you're that weight?
Right. Exactly. You know, why do people do these things? He's doing that. That is such water fast. Whatever. What can you do? Sometimes you can't save people from themselves. I don't know.
I'm Joy McCarthy, holistic nutritionist, and I expect more from my multivitamin. I've researched many vitamins, and what's truly different about Every Woman's One Daily from New Chapter is that it's fermented with probiotics and whole foods and gentle even on an empty stomach. Every Woman's One Daily helps you feel good every day, giving you immune, energy, and stress support, and nutrients for bone and heart health. You will notice a difference. Every Woman's One Daily recently won the Best Multivitamin Award, and I love that it's non-GMO project verified. Discover the wisdom of nature with New Chapter.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. You know, I have an open mind, but somebody comes to me and says, I'm going to go on a 27-day water fast diet. My advice would be, don't do that. Welcome back to the show. We know somebody who did. They lost 50 pounds, not one morsel of food. Not one. Now, That doesn't even make any sense. Think about that. You want to cleanse your body. You were going to say?
Okay, so yesterday we had Herba Prima on.
Yeah.
And that's what I use. I don't know if you can see it.
The fiber product?
Fiber product, okay. And I use this orange like every 2 days. All right, because I realized if I use it every day and I work out, I have a little bit of a stomach issue.
Okay, so what Gary's talking about, may I have that?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's the daily
fiber formula. And it's only because I have irritable bowel syndrome I have IBS from being a police officer, from nerves and everything.
All right, so this is the daily fiber formula. It's a tropical orange flavor. It's psyllium fiber.
I mean, you see, I carry it with me. I always have it.
It's in a packet.
That'll be what I'll have for, like, because people do shakes or they'll do whatever for the day. That'll be my lunch for today.
Well, you need more than that.
Well, because I'll eat later.
You'll eat later. Okay.
And then one of the things is that you're always open to new ideas and stuff when it comes to,
I'm not open to that.
But the dieting, though. And so I think it's kind of interesting that this person that we're talking about knows you.
I know. You think they would pick up a phone? And this individual tried another program where the food was delivered, lost weight on that, gained it all back. Listen, at the end of the day, you're not going to bargain with biology. It is what it is, and you just have to know the principles of biology and the principles of nutrition and put those together to come up with some sensible way of trying to lose weight. Dr. Michael Lyon is on my show all the time, and he has struggled with his own weight over the years, and he's one of the world's leading weight loss experts. And it's a lifetime endeavor, and he says that. And at one point in his life, he tried that he went on a 40-day fast. He got so sick and was I don't know if he ended up in the hospital or became very ill. He said, I've tried it all. And sooner or later, you figure it out. And he's awfully smart. He went to med school and he's smart. And he has a great clinic in Canada. They see 200-300 patients a day. So even he says that, you just can't do these quick fix, quick fast, quick whatever. This doesn't work. The fast way should be the last way when it comes to weight loss. And, at 27 days with no food, just water. We would worry about if somebody were lost in the woods and they were out there for 27 days and they had no food, we would be concerned about them, wouldn't we? All they had we would assume if they just had water, we would still be concerned about them.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, come on, man. And when I looked at I saw the before and after, and the after, I said to Gary, I said, my God, he doesn't look good. Well, no kid. Didn't eat anything for 27 days. Drank water.
Speaking of somewhat controversial items, GMOs. Let's switch right over to that. Yeah, Bill in Tampa called in, and he had a specific question, which actually opens up a larger discussion. But Raisin Bran apparently has a GMO. I don't know if it's a specific cereal of Raisin Bran that is, or just Raisin Bran in itself has GMOs in it. Again, that opens up the wider discussion. What makes a GMO?
Okay.
I mean, you can have something that's GMO that's very non-controversial, but then you can have very controversial GMO type of foods.
I know.
Seedless grapes and seedless watermelons are GMO.
Yeah, there you go.
You notice over the years, you've been with me the whole time. Gary's been here a little over a year. You've been here almost 13 years with me.
Mm-hmm.
How many times have you heard me talk about GMOs?
Very rarely, just when people call in and ask questions for the most part.
Very rarely. You know why? Because it brings out the worst in people.
Sure.
It does. It just does. They go off the chain.
Yeah, I googled before we took the call from Bill. I googled Raisin Bran GMO,
And what
then
did you
just
find?
a bunch of vitriol,
See? Right.
like right off the bat, just like Facebook posts saying ban, blah blah blah, boycott, and
Sure.
So yeah,
Burned down the building. And okay, so in one of my nutrition courses, we talked about this theme came up, this topic came up, and the students in the class went berserk. And I sat back and observed this back and forth between and among them. I mean, it was just crazy. I don't know. It just inspires these very caustic conversations and attacks. GMO means genetically modified organisms. What is the organism? The organism can be a plant, it can be an animal, or it can be a microorganism in which the genetic material, the DNA of the organism, is altered in a way that does not occur naturally. Okay? Science is stepping in by mating or natural recombination of genes. The technology is sometimes referred to as modern biotechnology or gene technology, also sometimes called recombinant DNA technology or genetic engineering. And it creates an environment. I mean, I would discuss it. I'll come back. I'll tell you more. I'll give you a little primer on it.
The perfect complement to your beauty regimen? Try Form Essentials Zinnia. The finest of its kind, Zinnia offers twice as much biotin as other formulas, which has proven to unlock the vibrancy in even the dullest of hair, skin, and nails. Zinnia breaks through and rejuvenates cells internally, helping you achieve the allure of effortless beauty. Reviving your hair, skin, and nails has never been easier. This essential blend of biotin, alpha-lipoic, and hyaluronic acid, collagen, and vitamin C creates lasting enhancements to your natural good looks. Don't go on wondering. You're worth the results. This combination of ingredients can only be found in Zinnia. Pamper yourself with a proven bit of affordable luxury and start looking your best. Ask for Zinnia by name at your nearest vitamin retailer to begin your journey to restored nails, head-turning hair, and radiant skin today. For more information, visit formessentials.com.
When your alarm goes off, do you jump out of bed with excitement? Or does it take multiple alarms, a few snooze buttons, or a morning caffeine fix to get you going? These habits and daily stress cause a vicious cycle in which sleep becomes increasingly elusive. In fact, 54% of Americans report struggles to fall or stay asleep. For a better night's rest, look no further than Solace, an all-natural dietary supplement that supports healthy sleep and relaxation, so you get the rest you need to wake up clear-eyed, alert, and ready for the day. Solace has given thousands a better night's rest and the power to take back their mornings while enjoying the day ahead of them. Solace is formulated with non-addictive, scientifically proven, all-natural ingredients that support sleep and relaxation, such as melatonin, tryptophan, and 5-HTP. For more information or to order Solace, visit takesolace.com. Solace, for healthy sleep naturally.
back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. We had a caller bringing to our attention that there's was it Raisin Bran?
Some type of Raisin Bran.
Raisin Bran. Kellogg's Raisin Bran. They have a genetically modified version of that now. Is that it? One of my take on it. Listen. Let me just give you a sense of what's going on here and why I sort of steer clear of this topic, because it alienates people. There's an article in the New York Times. It was published a while back by David Freeman, The Truth About Genetically Modified Food. Proponents of genetically modified crops say technology is the only way to feed a warming, increasingly populous world. Critics say we tamper with nature at our peril. Who is right? That's how the article opened up. Now, there are experts who are far more credentialed than I am in this arena. I am not an expert in genetically modified organisms. I know enough. I took my courses and we studied it. I've read about it, and I know enough to have a halfway decent conversation, intelligent conversation. And this is talking about genetically modified organisms is almost like talking about religion or politics with somebody. Usually nothing good comes from it, and you alienate yourself from that person and others because they're not going to change their mind. In the article, it pointed out that, and I'm just using the New York Times article as an example of the back and forth here and why I don't even get into it. The vast majority of the research on genetically modified crops suggests that they are safe to eat and that they have the potential to feed millions of people worldwide who currently go hungry. Yet, not all criticisms of GM are so easily rejected, and pro-GM scientists are often dismissive and even unscientific in the rejection of the counter evidence. A careful analysis of the risks and benefits argues for expanded deployment and safety testing of GM crops. It's said, close quote. So there's this back and forth. And in the article, the writer talks about these professors at this one university. One is on one side of the campus, one is on the other side of the campus, and they have both different views about genetically modified organisms and genetically modified foods. And they're experts in this topic, and they're going back and forth. And for me to step into that stream and it's like getting caught. That's like stepping into an argument between a husband and a wife. You better have a helmet and a flak jacket on and mind your own business.
Yeah.
And I typically don't step into that arena because I'm going to make somebody angry. I'm going to turn them off. And quite frankly, where I am with genetic GMO and all that business, where I'm at with it, I'm still trying to sort through it myself. Now, if you ask me about other topics where I've done a lot of work and a lot of research and I've settled down on, I know where I'm at with my footing on it, like a water fast diet. You heard me at the beginning of the show. I had no compunction in saying that borders on being stupid. Eat nothing for 27 days, just drink water to lose weight? Come on, man. Now, you hear? I will insert myself into that because I have no compunction with this business. What can I tell you? You have to go do the research, and it's vast.
Well, I know I went through Caldwell County, Kentucky. That's where my family's from. There
a lot of farming there.
A lot of farming, and they have switched over to growing the genetically modified corn for fuel consumption. So, I mean,
genetically modified crops are grown for a lot of different reasons. One,
Right.
a faster rate to feed more people. There's all kinds of arguments back and forth, and then the counter one of the counter arguments is we don't know how modifying the genes of these crops is going to affect organisms that consume those crops, i.e., humans.
But yeah, I know the corn there that they just grow there is just for fuel. They run the combine through it, and it goes right out to a place near Paducah where they turn it into fuel. So it's kind of weird that there is such a huge argument about that.
Since the earliest days of agriculture, humans have been selecting plants with desirable characteristics and crossbreeding them to make new, even more desirable specimens. In this case, a tomato plant that combines the blight resistance of one parent with the high fruit yield of another. This is in the article, close quote. And they give a schematic showing you.
I posted the article on our Facebook page too, Doc.
Right. Thank you. And it shows you what they were trying to do through this cross-pollination to make a more resistant tomato plant.
Well, they did
Now,
that with peaches here in Florida.
You know, they didn't do it in a lab. I mean, they did it out in the field. I mean, they weren't. They let nature. They cross-pollinated them. Now, things get cross-pollinated in nature without us interfering in that process.
Is that selection? Is that natural?
I don't know. It's
selection.
it's accident.
It's nature.
It's nature.
Okay.
It's nature. Sometimes it's just accident.
Well, peaches don't grow in Florida. I mean, that's because there's no frost, and so now we have peach. You can buy a peach tree that'll grow and produce peaches in Florida.
So here's the $1 million question: foods, products, whatever that are GMO in whatever way that they are. Is that something that you personally would avoid and would recommend people if somebody asked you, hey, what do you think I should do? Rock and a hard place.
I can tell you right now, to answer your question, there are foods that I've consumed that I didn't even know were genetically modified. They're in the grocery store.
Yeah.
And it depends on what the food is. I would probably eat it, most likely, given what I know. There are some concerns about certain. See, it's not so clear cut. Some will argue that genetically modifying certain foods is less risk than with other foods, and it gets so complicated. The science is crazy.
That don't make sense.
I see. That's what I'm saying, and to get into that back and forth, I could alienate myself probably from every person in this audience in a matter of 10 minutes if I got into this. I'll be right back.
Whether you spend your free time on a treadmill, under a car, or in your garden, if your active lifestyle leaves you sore, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce may be exactly what you need. Inflammaforce has a natural herb blend that acts as an anti-inflammatory to help maintain healthy joint and mobility support. There are standardized herbs like white willow, boswellia, turmeric, ginger, and devil's claw. The vegetarian capsule promotes easy digestion and a fast-acting dissolve process. Inflammaforce includes a proprietary enzyme herbal blend full of antioxidants and flavonoids that target pain and inflammation throughout the body. Body Vigor's Inflammaforce contains ingredients that support normal, healthy joint flexibility and function, builds healthy tissue, and helps with your recovery process. So if you're tired of sore joints and inflamed muscles, Body Vigor's Inflammaforce is your answer. Purchase Inflammaforce exclusively on Amazon.com.
It's by David Freeman. I misspoke. I attributed it to the New York Times. It wasn't New York Times. It was Scientific American, because I have a New York Times article in front of me as well. The title of the article in Scientific American is "The Truth About Genetically Modified Food." As I've gone through the article, it presents both sides of the argument, but it tends to lean toward the pro side for genetically modified food. And it's an interesting piece. Let me quote from it and to give you a sense of what's going on here. And the writer, Zimmerman, is talking, or Friedman, David Friedman, is talking about these scientists. And one is David Williams. He's a cellular biologist who specializes in vision and who has a point of view about this. He's in the minority. William concedes that he is among a tiny minority of biologists raising sharp questions about the safety of GM crops. But he says this is only because the field of plant molecular biology is protecting its interests. Funding, much of it from the companies that sell GM seeds, heavily favors researchers who are exploring ways to further the use of genetic modification in agriculture. He says that biologists who point out health or other risks associated with GM crops, who merely report or defend experimental findings that imply there may be risks, find themselves the focus of vicious attacks on their credibility, which leads scientists who see problems with GM foods to keep quiet, close quote. Whether Williams is right or wrong, one thing is undeniable. Despite overwhelming evidence that GM crops are safe to eat, the debate over their use continues to rage, and in some parts of the world is growing even louder. Skeptics would argue that this contentiousness is a good thing, that we cannot be too cautious when tinkering with the genetic basis of the world's food supply. To researchers such as Goldberg, however, the persistence of fears about GM foods is nothing short of exasperating. Quote, in spite of hundreds of millions of genetic experiments, Goldberg says, involving every type of organism on Earth, and people eating billions of meals without a problem, we've gone back to being ignorant, close quote. Now, that's just 2 paragraphs from this Scientific American article. I am not a genetic microbiologist. I have a PhD, but it was not in that arena. And, have I eaten genetically modified foods? Yes, and probably so have you, and didn't even know it. It turns out that most of the corn and soybean grown in this country is genetically modified, man. Whether you like it or not, or believe it or not. And what people are concerned about is that if you modify the genes of the organism, in this case the plant, and we consume that genetic modification, how does that affect our genes? That's one of the central issues and concerns. Now, millions of metric tons of genetically modified food has been created and distributed and consumed. And people are not dropping dead left and right. However, that being said, we don't know long term, because we're not allowed to do experiments with humans. Imagine that. Although some would say this is a living experiment. We don't know for sure. Although these scientists, as this one scientist Goldberg pointed out, there have been millions of experiments with this issue, and the data are pretty compelling that these GM foods are pretty safe, according to him. Now, given you heard even among scientists, those scientists who oppose the genetically modified food project get criticized and they're exposed to vicious attacks by their colleagues. These are supposed to be educated people. You ought to see them at a conference. That's why they don't allow weapons in the room. They'd probably shoot one another. They go after each other. They go for the throat. And it's vicious. And, of course, then you have companies like Monsanto involved, sometimes called Monsantan, as people refer to them, and use that as the whipping post for everything that's wrong with the earth. And then they get involved, and once they're on the stage, now everything has gone to hell. And if you think the European Union, if you think they're not growing genetically modified crops and whatnot involved in this, you're mistaken. Now, Europe has rejected some of the genetically modified crops that Monsanto has made and BASF has made, as I was reading in this article. This is a good article. My take on it, it tends to lean toward genetically modified, in favor of genetically modified food. But it's worth a read. At least you'll get a sense. It's in Scientific American. It was published September 1st, 2013. And there are many other articles. I picked this one because it sort of captures the debate. And this all started today because we had a caller who's talking that Kellogg's has genetically modified Raisin Bran now. Well, guess what? You probably have consumed more genetically modified foods than you're even aware of, and that I'm even aware of. The thing that I worry about the most is the air. The contaminated air, the contaminated soil, the contaminated water. The metric tons of toxic chemicals that are dumped on this planet, into the air, the water, the soil every day is criminal. That's, we should start with that. Let's work on that. Clean that. Let's clean up the oceans, clean up the streams. The GMO foods, yes, I think we need to be vigilant and we should be concerned. We should but, that's why this is the most I've ever talked about it on the show in 13 years. And I don't know where I'm at with it.
At the end of the show, we're going to have a survey on our Facebook page about it. So
okay. I look at the data and I see data that says, it's, again, there have been thousands, if not millions of studies that, as this one researcher says, on the data is pretty compelling for it. Then again, there's arguments against it. Welcome to the show. If you just tuned in, thank you so much. We appreciate your listenership and your viewership. This is the second portion, the second hour. We air live every day, 9 to 11 round numbers. Go on 9:06, but 9 to 11 Eastern Time, and 5 days a week. And the show is coast to coast, and it's global, so it does air at different times across the country, and people watching at different times across the globe, too. So we're happy about that, and continue to try to improve. I can't think of a better place to be every day. Somebody asked me about, he said, well, you know, your significant other, and I thought they were talking about my show.
This is your first love now, though.
They said, your significant other. I said, what about my significant other? Well, how long have you been going together? I said, about 13 years. And he said, well, who is she? I said, she's Let's Talk Nutrition. Yeah. That's not wholesome either, right? But I love doing this. It is we could do 3 hours easy. 4. Well, I know we could. I know. There's no doubt. But we're at 2, so I guess we'll just leave it at that for now. But love being here with you. The first portion of the show, we talked about. I had somebody call in and asked about Kellogg's making this GMO Raisin Bran business, and I stepped into the arena of GMOs, and I said to Stephen, I asked him the question, how many times in almost 13 years come May have you heard me talk about this topic? And he said, very rarely. And there's a reason for that. Because it's too politically charged. And my guest is Gina Moss. As I said to you earlier, she's a registered dietitian. As dietitians go, she's pretty open-minded and not as traditional as some dietitians are. She has a different, sort of a different approach, which I like. I want to bring her on right away because I want to get to her topic. But Gina, welcome back to Let's Talk Nutrition. It's great to have you on.
Good morning, Dr. Garko. Thank you so much for having me. I love being on your show. It's so enlightening.
Well, we love having you here, and I don't want to get you into trouble. And if you don't want to step into this stream, you don't have to. But I'm interested. I would be interested in knowing your take on GMO, genetically modified organisms, genetically GM foods. What is your take on it?
Well, as a company, Renew Life.
No, I'm not interested in it as a company. I'm interested in Gina Moss.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What do you think?
I feel that, and based on what I've read and learned, if there's a way that a person can choose to not consume products that are genetically modified, they should go for the non-GMO modified.
Why?
Because the risk for allergens,
that's the issue.
Genetically modified is higher, and that is documented in the literature.
Right.
The research
that's a thing. You hit them. That's the money issue. That's one of the big issues that allergies. All right, go ahead. Yeah. That's one issue.
And did you? I didn't hear your first hour. Did you take the time to explain what that means to someone who might have an allergy? Or
no, I didn't. I didn't even want to get into that and open up that whole can of worms. I referred the listener and the viewer to an article in Scientific American that it was entitled "The Truth About Genetically Modified Food." The article, in fairness to the article, seems to bend towards favoring genetically modified foods, although it does provide the back and forth on it between and among scientists and the issues.
Yes, interesting.
There's another issue that swirls around this: should the foods be labeled as genetically modified? And
I believe they should.
I think they should too. There's no ambiguity in my mind about that. And I don't know why they don't want to do that or why there would be resistance to that. People should know if the food is genetically modified. Michael,
and then they can make the choice.
Yes. Michael Pollan, who's pretty well respected, he has a view on it as well as many others, and he feels that the GMO, the GM food enterprise or project has been disappointing because it's supposed to have produced more food, better food with less pesticides. And he's saying, one argument he makes, that has not happened. That Monsanto's, that one compound they use in Roundup is even more prominent now than it was before. So there's so much back and forth, and I don't know. It's sort of like talking about religion and politics with people. I don't know if you ever if you get that sense of it when you talk about GMO, right?
Yeah, the difference, though, is there is scientific data and there's a large body of evidence to support the argument for non-GMO project-certified foods and supplements. And I believe that it should be labeled and they should be able to have the choice.
But also, in fairness, there's a ton of data that says GMO is just fine. Okay.
Well, is that cherry picking?
No, it's not cherry picking. Thousands and thousands of studies, experiments have been done to say that GMO is safe. Now, there have been other studies, like you're pointing out, that give a different view. They aren't as many. So there's data on both sides. My point is there's data on both sides of the argument. You see what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Unless you're that mother and father who have a child who is allergic unknowingly to tree nuts, and the item that they selected to give their child was the DNA of a Brazil nut, was spiced with some other grain or what have you,
right?
Because there's a substance in the Brazil nut that helps resist pests, for example, when they're growing.
Right.
And now that child eats that item over and over and over again, and they develop
an allergy,
life-threatening allergy that produces anaphylaxis. So
I get it.
That is my contention.
Oh, I get it. I get it. I know, and
that percentage is probably smaller, and that's why some of those studies point to, it's okay to have genetically modified food. Yes, for the general
public. Do you think have you eaten genetically modified foods?
Oh yeah, long before I knew about them.
If I put a plate, if I gave you some corn and you knew it was genetically modified, would you eat it?
I would try to avoid it, which I avoid corn anyway, but yeah, I would. And in fact, that's one of the reasons I stopped eating soy long ago.
Yeah.
Aside from the isoflavones that I didn't need at the time, but unless it's labeled, you do not know if that soy is genetically modified or not.
Most of the corn and soy grown in this country is GMO. You know that, right?
I do.
Gina,
I don't eat a whole lot, but I also don't eat the corn for other reasons. But I just feel that people, whether it's good or not, that it's not that hard to label it, but it costs money for these companies.
Well, I think they should label
legalities, and that's why they don't want to jump through those extra hoops.
Well, that's too bad. I mean, they should label the food. That again, when we come back, Gary has a question or a comment. I appreciate you stepping into it a little bit. I didn't want to get you into trouble because people get very exercised and upset about this. All kinds of conspiracy theories and whatnot. Nevertheless, I know you came to talk about something else, and we'll get to that too.
Almost 52% of men experience erectile dysfunction and benign prostatic hyperplasia. If you've had challenges with virility, sexual health, or low energy, Body Vigor's Alpha Extension may be the answer for you. Body Vigor's Alpha Extension can help revitalize your alpha male and extend your love. Our formula is one of the highest quality nutraceuticals available, formulated to support the processes involved in promoting a healthy male sex drive, energy, and stamina. Alpha Extension has 2 powerful herbal blends, Virilo Max, which focuses on male sexual health, and T-Pump Activator, which helps balance your testosterone levels. Revitalize your alpha male with Body Vigor's Alpha Extension, exclusively available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition. Gina Moss is my guest. She's an educator for Renew Life. She's a registered dietitian. Gina, welcome back to the show. I have thank you for filling out the booking form, by the way. Appreciate that. And I know you wanted to talk about, you have something on your mind. And so we'll get to that. Again, thank you for giving me your take on genetically modified foods or GMOs. That's a topic that won't be settled anytime soon. I'm still evolving on it myself and trying to sort through it. It's so the debate is so thick and so vituperous, whatever. It's horrible. I mean, I try to stay away from it, but I'm trying to sort through the science of it, and it's confusing. I admit myself, it is confusing. I haven't settled down on it. The one thing I do agree with: one, people should know if they're eating those kinds of foods, and the food should be labeled. About that, I have no ambiguity. So, what did you want to talk about? Rock and roll. What was on your mind today?
I didn't know what your other topic was today.
I was going to talk about what I was going to talk about, and I found myself talking about GMOs. What I was going to open the first hour with, I'm writing a series. I'll spend the rest of 2018 doing it on aging. And I was in part one, which will be published on my website for March, in Health and Wellness Monthly, the status of aging in America. There'll be 2 parts to that whole series, but the series on aging will be for the next several months. So that's what I was going to talk about today. But your topic, I saw in the booking form, you were zeroed in on probiotics and whatnot.
Well, actually, it goes right along with your topic, and you probably were going to talk about it as a supplement anyway, as omega-3 fatty acids, also known as fish oils. And Renew Life, of course, we have sold a very high-quality fish oil for quite some time, and I was thinking that you might have if you want to ask any questions about that.
Well, it's interesting. Back in the day,
Valentine's Day and Heart Month.
Okay, all right, Heart Month and Valentine's Day. February is Heart Month, and Valentine's Day is coming up in a few days. Back in the day, when Brenda Watson was on for the company, but she's no longer, we talked a lot about fish oil. From Renew Life, and she was obviously a big advocate, and so are you, and so is the company. And do you? What is your general feeling about? Do you think? All right, let me see if I can back you into it this way. If I gave you a choice, eat fish 3 to 4 times a week, or take a dietary supplement of omega-3 fatty acids, you can only pick one or the other. Which would you do?
That's a great question.
You only have. I know it's not. I know we have. I know it's an either or, and most people would do both. Some would do both, but if you could only eat fish 3 or 4 times a week, or take a fish oil supplement, which would you do? You had to pick.
All right, if I had to pick...
ask me the question. I'll tell you what I would do.
Okay, I would probably, as much as I love fish, but for a couple specific reasons, I would probably select the fish oil supplement.
I would unequivocally, without hesitation, like instant coffee, take the fish oil, high pharmaceutical grade, manufactured fish oil supplement in a minute. I wouldn't even blink.
See, I have a question. Okay. My question is taking fish oil, does it make you smell like fish?
No.
Because I have people that ask me that all the time.
No. If you smell like fish, then you were eating a rancid product.
Okay.
Right. It's also how the fish is made, how the fish oils are made. If I can just talk about ours.
Absolutely.
Renew Life uses a cold CO2 distillation process. That's why we call our best oil in our line supercritical. omega-3. It's a supercritical. It's low heat, so there's no chance for rancidity, and we can also basically get rid of the majority of any PCBs or other heavy metals in our fish oil, which is one of the reasons why eating fish is, one of those things that you enjoy, but I wouldn't be eating fish 3 times or 4 times.
Tell the audience why. I know why I wouldn't, but why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you eat it? Huh?
The polluted water.
The polluted water.
We eat or we have, and that goes into the fish, and as you know, toxins hide out and settle in fat adipose tissues. So in humans and in fish
and in muscle tissue, the tuna, salmon, the bigger fish, fatty muscle type fish, if you will, that have more protein and more fat in them, they hold the toxins, right?
Right. Plus, those are, some of those fish, if you eat swordfish and halibut, and they're large predatory fish, and they swim in the top layer, eating all kinds of other fish, and they live a long time, and so they have a lot higher concentration of those bad guys.
We deal with it all around here.
Women who are pregnant or planning to have a child have specific nutritional needs. Maintaining optimal nutritional intake is important for mother and baby. Body Vigor's Preferred Prenatal can help mother and baby receive the appropriate building blocks for growth, development, and healthy function. The Preferred Prenatal formula provides essential vitamins and minerals, along with added support ingredients such as folic acid and DHA. Preferred Prenatal also incorporates a bonus herbal blend to help the mom-to-be with the uncomfortable side effects of pregnancy, like nausea, vomiting, mood swings, and uterine health. Support a healthy pregnancy for you and your baby with Preferred Prenatal, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Welcome back. Welcome to Let's Talk Nutrition, wherever and however you may be listening or watching the show and whatever you may be doing. Gina Moss is my guest, educator for Renew Life, talking about fish oil products. And, you know, we create our own monsters sometimes on this planet. We're talking about GMOs in the first portion of the show. Now I asked Gina the question, if you had a choice, forced choice, you could either eat fish 3 or 4 times a week, or you can take a good fish oil supplement, like from Renew Life. Which one would you do? You can only pick one or the other. She did what I would do. I'd take the fish oil supplement. I won't eat fish 3 times a week. No way. Absolutely not. Anchovies and sardines, I might. They're smaller fish. They're at the bottom. They're at the lower end of the food chain. Gina, welcome back. When I ate meat, those were the 2 fish that I ate: sardines and anchovies. That was it.
Yeah, and there are other fish that, for example, you mentioned tuna. I love tuna. One of the fish oils that one of the oils that we do use in our products, and you mentioned the basically you were talking about the pelagic region of the ocean, which is the middle layer. So there's a smaller tuna that lives in that area, along with sardines and anchovies, and they're called skipjack tuna. That's the type of tuna that we use in our fish oil, and they are from the very cold waters of, actually, I don't know if I'm sure you do, off the coast of Chile and Peru in the Pacific Ocean. It's very cold, and that's where we get some of our fish.
They're called skipjack tuna?
No, skipjack.
Skipjack?
J-A-C-K, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're smaller.
Have you ever?
I got to admit, I can't go without my tuna fish sandwiches on occasion.
Some of the like Bumblebee makes skipjack tuna.
Yeah.
They'll put it in cans. Have you ever had? Can you buy it in the store?
You know, that's a good question. I know you can get it at Costco. And it's a very reasonable price. I think you just have to read the label if they're forthcoming with the type of tuna that it is.
Uh-huh. Anyway, you use a manufacturing process that is eliminates heat in the making of the fish oil. You had alluded to that. Could you mention it again, please?
Yes. It's called critical CO2 distillation. It's a very low heat, minimal processing, and it also yields an ultra concentrated fish oil. And so in our fish oil capsules, that it's very concentrated. In a lot of fish oils, and I don't know who, but the capsule has quite a bit of just plain old saturated fat in it, and it's not omega-3 fatty acids, which is the oil from the fish. So that's important. And if it's okay, could I address the gentleman who spoke up a little while ago?
Yeah,
about,
of course. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want.
Yeah, one of the things that we do in our Renew Life fish oils is, and you were right, sir, burp-up is a common reason for people to not take fish oil. One reason that happens is because of the way that the fish oil is made. We use lipase, which is an enzyme that breaks down fat. We put that into the capsule, which helps to break down that fish oil and helps with bioavailability or absorption or uptake. The other thing that we do that's pretty significant is we use a fish gelatin capsule itself. We don't use bovine or pork. And it's also enteric coated, so it's not going to break down in the stomach acid. It's going to ride through there and not open up in all of the acid. So that's the three main reasons why the Renew Life fish oil, we call it affectionately the No Burp formula, and it really is.
What about what about people that have had their gallbladder removed?
Yes, there is of course, the liver makes bile and it stores in the gallbladder. When the gallbladder is removed, the liver adapts. It actually can store enough bile in the common bile duct to handle some of that. But the great thing is, with Renew Life fish oil, the lipase is in the fish oil itself. So
right.
When it gets in there, it's going to help with digestion or breaking the fish oil down. So you have that extra added component.
Good. That's excellent. 877-897-8255. That's toll free. There is skipjack. That's relatively small, the most abundant, widely fished of the tuna species. Can be up to a meter in length. It's rarely recognizable when it's served up, by the way. There's also yellowfin tuna, widespread. You find this everywhere. It's sickle-shaped, and people order it all the time. There's albacore. It's a cooler water tuna. You got to watch with albacore. It tends to hold the toxins. There's big eye tuna. It's a big, robust fish in tropical waters, growing over a meter in length. Apparently, they are in ecological trouble. The populations are decreasing and plummeting, being overfished, I guess. There's bluefin tuna. There are 3 species of bluefin. There's Southern, Pacific, and Atlantic, and people are familiar with those. Now, those are bigger fish. There's more fat in them. There's more muscle. They tend to hold the toxins. Of the species that I mentioned, Gina's right. The skipjack is the smaller and less inclined to be, hold the heavy metals. You see what we've done to the planet? It's a shame. No, there was a time you wouldn't have to worry about it. No longer. And who would ever thought you have a talk show host asking a guest, if you had a choice between eating fish or taking a high-grade, pharmaceutical-grade supplement, which one would you do? And the guest says, I'll take the supplement, thank you very much. Wouldn't eat fish 3 or 4 times a week. I wouldn't. That's where we've come to. Yes, I know we're concerned about GMO and all that, genetically modified foods. Like I said, maybe we should get our eye on the ball here too, right? What about the earth, the water, and the sea, the air?
Are your joints feeling out of date and stiff? Is that old sports injury flaring up? Is your body aching from the daily wear and tear at work? Body Vigor's Joint Ready keeps you at the ready for any joint pain that gets out of line. Unfortunately, as we age, joint pain becomes more common. Body Vigor's Joint Ready can help provide relief so you can continue to go about your day. Our formula contains sulfated forms of glucosamine and chondroitin. Studies show that these sulfated forms are more effective than regular glucosamine bound to hydrochloride. Joint Ready promotes a healthy inflammatory response, facilitates cartilage synthesis, and provides additional antioxidants. Keep your joints at the ready with Body Vigor's Joint Ready, exclusively on Amazon.com.
Here's the LTN health question of the day. My guest today, Gina Moss, mentioned a particular species of fish that, a tuna, that is used in the making of a fish oil product. Which species did she mention? Was it A, skipjack tuna, B, albacore, or C, yellowfin? Which one? Skipjack, albacore, or yellowfin tuna? Which one would be preferable to use in a fish oil product? Skipjack, yellowfin, or albacore? What do you think? If you get the right answer, you'll win a $25 gift card. She gave a reason, and the hint is that it's a smaller species of tuna. Call this number with the right answer and win that $25 supplement gift card to Vitamin Discount Center.
877-897-8255. That's 877-897-8255. Or locally, in the sound of my voice, at 813-636-8255.
Gina, welcome back. So, at Renew Life, what is the one product? What's it called?
Fish oil, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have several, but the one I was referring to was the supercritical omega with 1,000 IUs also of D3. I forgot to tell you that.
Oh, so
and,
okay.
So it also has a little bit over a gram, which is actually 1,150 of the omega-3 fatty acids. So it's very concentrated in the EPA particularly, and then the DHA.
And also they put a little bit of vitamin D3 in it?
Yes, 1,000 milligrams of D3, and again, the lipase, which helps break it down, and it's enteric coated. So that's one. Those are the reasons why we can actually say it's a no burp formula.
I have you. Let's go to Winter Haven, Florida. Man, we're way out there in Winter Haven here in Florida. Barbara, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you.
So, of the species of tuna, which one would be preferable to use in a fish oil supplement? Would it be the skipjack, the yellowfin, or the albacore?
The skipjack.
Yeah, it's a smaller species. And as you were pointing out, Gina, it swims. It doesn't swim at the surface. It doesn't swim at the bottom either, right?
Correct. Am I supposed to say or? Oh, yeah. It swims in the middle layer, which is called the pelagic layer.
Yeah, and that's better. So, do you eat fish, Barbara?
Yes, I do.
How many days a week?
Probably once a week.
Once a week. Any particular species of fish you like? Salmon, tuna? What do you eat typically? Haddock? What?
I usually eat salmon or mahi or sometimes tuna. It just depends on what I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Is it freshwater or farm raised? If you know.
I believe it's all freshwater. I don't think it's farm raised.
Yeah, you got to check for that too these days.
Yeah.
Do you ever have any concern about eating fish? Is it ever on your mind that you're eating fish that's been contaminated with heavy metals?
Some of them, because like Gina was saying, what they eat and the polluted waters too.
Yeah. I don't, now I'm on a whole food plant-based diet. I don't have that issue anymore, so I don't have to worry about it. But other people do. It's just a shame that we've gotten ourselves into this jackpot where we can't eat the fish that we want to and not have to worry about it being glowing in the dark and being filled with heavy metals and whatnot. It's tragic what we've done to the planet. Well, we messed it up. Maybe we can clean it up, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for listening. We appreciate it. Winter Haven's beautiful. Nice place to live. Were you born and raised there?
No, sir. I was born in Fort Lauderdale, and then we moved up here when I was a teenager.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale's a little faster traffic there.
Yes.
Yeah, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. I used to live in Miami. Well, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it, and congratulations. You won a $25 supplement gift card to Vitamin Discount Center. We appreciate your listenership. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Gina, it just, I don't know. It gets distressing when I think about it, what we've done. And we're worried about the crops. We're worried about the fish. We're worried about the air. We're worried about this and that. My goodness, I don't know. There are very few pristine places left on the planet, Very few.
That's true.
Yeah.
One thing
Go
I
ahead.
can say, though, if it's okay,
Say whatever you want.
I think that because these factors do contaminate our food, these toxins do come into our body. One of the best things we can do, we can control what we eat. We can also control how well we keep our digestive tract in good balance. And that's why, and I hope this doesn't sound like a plug, but that's why, probiotics and enzymes and periodic cleansing and fish oils, those are the very supplements necessary to build the foundation of a balanced digestive tract so that you can fight a little better. You've got a way to fight off some of those bad bacteria and have better absorption no matter what you eat.
Sure.
That's about the one good thing.
Yeah, well, there's things we can do. You're right, that are in our span of influence. I just would point out that most cancers are environmentally caused, not genetically driven. Other factors other than genetics. So I'm just saying, smoking, drinking, but the heavy metals, the toxins in the water, the air, the soil, the food chain, and people get sick and they say, how did I get sick? How did that happen to me? Yeah, it happens, and there's no accident. Cancer is the second leading cause of death in this country for a reason. It's not genetic. It's not genetic. So, we are the destiny of our own making, is what I'm saying. Thank you so much for being on. We appreciate it. Renew Life. You thought they just made digestive care products. Well, they happen to make a Boss fish oil product, too. Your health is your wealth. I'll see you tomorrow.